Hi friends, welcome to Top Scholar, the Smart Learning app. We are back again with another topic to prepare your board examinations. Now, we will be discussing Heredity and Evolution, Maharashtra Board 10th Standard, and we will be discussing previous year's questions. That will help you prepare better and brace up for your board examination. And we will be starting from the marking scheme, and we will see what weightage is given in these chapters in previous years. Okay, so as we know that we have different marking schemes, and here in last 5 years we will be discussing different questions which have come from this particular chapter. Now we have marks from 1 to 3 from this chapter, and we can see that in 2019 we had one 1-mark question, in 2020 we had two 1-mark question, 2021 again we had one question, and in 2023 we had two questions in 1-mark question. That makes total 6 questions carrying 6 marks obviously. Now if we look at the 2 marks question, then we had two questions of 2 marks in 2019, one in 2021, one in 2022. So total 4 questions we have been able to extract from previous years, and then we will be discussing that. So those questions and answers will get you 8 marks. Now coming to the 3 marks question. So if we even able to answer one question of 3 marks, we are getting 3 marks, and we have been able to extract one question from this chapter in last 5 years. Okay, so one question at least from this chapter in 2019, 20, 21, 22, 23. So you can see that every year at least one question of 3 marks comes from this chapter. So we have at least 15 marks question here in this chapter, right? So now if we see the graphical representation of it, you can see that at least we have had 3 marks question every year. So every year we have had question. We have had just 2 questions overall in 2022, but in 2019 we had 4 questions from this chapter. So we will be hoping for the best, and we will prepare for this chapter now. Alright, so let's move on. Let's look at the first question which we have taken from the year 2019. So there are 2 questions. One is a question of 1 mark and another 2 mark. So one is MCQ type question and second is short answer type question. So first let's discuss the MCQ type question. Let's start with the easy one. Choose the correct alternative and rewrite the statement. It's an MCQ type question. Now the question is, dash is a connecting link between annelida and arthropoda. We should be knowing that anyways by heart, but we have options. Why not use them? So your options are duck-billed platypus, peripatus, lungfish or whale. Which one is it? So arthropoda and annelida. So what is the connecting link between them? Duck-billed platypus, obviously not. We know that it is a connecting link between reptiles and mammals. So is it peripatus? Yes, it is. Now let's move on to the second question, which is of 2 marks. Solve any 5 of the following question. Complete the following chart. So we have evidences of evolution. We know there are 4 types of evidences of evolution. I'll give you one hint. It's anatomical, then morphological, then what else? Let's discuss that later. Okay. So we have parked this question right now. You think about it, fill this up, and we will see if you are able to crack that or not. Now let's move on to the next. So again, we have had, like we know that we have had 4 questions from 2019, right? The maximum one. So we have 2 more questions here from 2019. The 2 questions are, one is of 2 marks and one is of 3 mark question. So we have had 3 mark question every year from this chapter. So we will be discussing one here. The 2 marks question first. Draw a neat diagram of the structure of chromosome and label the parts. Which parts you have to label? Centromere and P arm. So you know the structure of chromosome, okay, and you have to label where is the centromere and which is the P arm, okay. So that is again very simple, you just have to draw a diagram here. Now let's go to the 3-mark question. It has 3 subparts as you can see. So you have to answer these 3 questions and it would carry 1 mark each. What do you mean by central dogma? That is the most basics of our life, right? So the central dogma, which is our DNA replicates into another DNA copies, then DNA is transcribed into mRNA, mRNA is translated into protein, right? So that is our central dogma. And what is transcription? We just answered, that is from DNA to mRNA, that is our transcription. What is meant by triplet codon? So we know that what is this triplet codon? This triplet codon is responsible for 1 amino acid. And why are we making this amino acid using this triplet codons? Because amino acids are the basics of protein, and protein is our basic structural unit of our body, right? So we have established this. Now 2019 is over. Let's move on to 2020. Now how many questions do we have here? 3 questions. One is an MCQ type question, one is short answer carrying 1 mark, another short answer question carrying 3 marks. So let's look at the MCQ one. Choose the correct option. Transfer of information from molecule of DNA to mRNA is called dash process. We just answered that in our 2019 question paper, that is our transcription. But let's look at other options. Is it translation? Translation is what? It is from mRNA to protein, right? That is our translation. Translocation, definitely not mutation. Mutation is a change in the DNA sequence, okay, because of certain factors, other factors. Now, second question, that is a short answer question, that is of 1 mark. Solve the following question. I am connecting link between reptilia and mammals. What is my name? What is it? We had one of those in the options of our first question from this chapter. What is it? Duck-billed platypus, right? So we have also solved this question. We have 1 mark. So now we have 2 marks already from this question paper. Now solve the following question. Explain the importance of anatomical evidence with examples. So this is a 3-mark question. It's a very important question. It is about the different types of evidences for evolution. Let's move on to the next question. This is from 2021. Okay, so we have moved from 2020 to 21 now. Okay, so here again we have 3 questions, right? So one is very short answer and 2 short answer type question. 1 mark, 2 mark, 3 mark. Total 6 marks from this question paper. Alright, now answer the following question. Complete the correlation. Wisdom teeth, vestigial organ, lungfish. It's also a connecting link if I am not mistaken, right? Connecting link between what? You will be able to answer that. Now answer the following question. Complete the following diagram. This is also anatomical evidence. Okay, so what do we have here? Human hand and patagium of bat. So what evidences are these? These are all anatomical evidences only, right? So we will have to mention 2 more. Okay, so this again we will solve, right? What do you mean by fossils? Write the importance of fossil, write the name of method to find the age of fossils. So there are 2 methods to find the age of fossil, right? Relative method and carbon dating method. And what are fossils? We will again discuss this question. This is a 3-mark question, right? So this is a very important question and we would like you to answer it correct. Okay, so now let's move on to 2022. So here, complete the following diagram. Here we have morphological, that is, and then similarities in bone structure. In the center there is evidence of evolution. The similarity in bone structure is what? It's anatomical evidence, right? Now what else would come here? We will again discuss that. Now, this is a 2-mark question, short answer question, and it's a diagram, right? All you have to do is just fill here, here, here and here, and you have 2 marks straight. Now, next question, that is a 3-mark question. Very important question. Write the objections raised against Darwin's theory of natural selection. What is this natural selection? That like whoever is the strongest would remain alive, rest all will perish, right? That was a natural selection process and which was explained by Darwin, right? So, what objections can be raised against it? So, we have studied in this chapter and we will also discuss this. This is a 3 marks question and so we want you to keep that in mind, right? Let's go to 2023. Right, here we have 2 questions. One is MCQ type question, one is very short answer question, both carrying 1 mark each. Okay, choose the correct alternative. Vestigial organ dash present in human body is a proof of evolution. So, there are vestigial organ. Vestigial organs are the organs which were functional at one time and then now they are just there and they are not serving any functional purpose in our body, right? So, which among these options are present in the human body, which is a proof of evolution? It's a vestigial organ. It doesn't have any functional role in our body as such. So, is it A, human hand? Are we not using it? Of course we are. B, appendix. C, ear muscles. D, tailbone. Which among it is? It is our appendix, right? Second, it's a very short answer. Answer the following. Write the names of the indicated parts in the diagram of human jaw. So, these are a type of tooth, right, which is indicated. So, which are these? You will have to mention the name. Okay. So, is it molar? Is it premolar? What is it? You have to write. Okay. Now, last question from 2023. This is also a short answer type question. Write a note on Darwin's theory of natural selection. So, when we will answer these questions about Darwin's theory of natural selection, we will be able to answer what objections were also raised against Darwin's theory of natural selection. So, let's move on to the detailed solution of some of these questions which are extremely important from the exam point of view. Alright. So, let's see the first one. So, choose the correct alternative and rewrite the statement. So, we have already answered it, but let's see the solution. So, dash is a connecting link between annelida and arthropod. What we have answered was peripatus. Let's see the correct answer if it is that. Yes, peripatus has segmented body, thin cuticle and parapodia like organs similar to annelida. So, this is the connecting link. What else? It has tracheal respiration and open circulatory system similar to arthropod. So, that is why it is a connecting link between annelida and arthropod, right? It has some organs which are similar to that of annelida and some organs similar to arthropoda. Thus, peripatus is connecting link between annelida and arthropoda. Duck-billed platypus lays eggs like reptiles but shows relationship with mammals due to the presence of mammary gland and hair. So, that is the reason why duck-billed platypus is a connecting link between reptiles and mammals. Lungfish, it performs respiration with lungs irrespective of being a fish, right? So, it has been a connecting link between amphibians and the fishes, right? So, here we will be discussing one question which was asked in 2019 carrying 2 marks. Here we can see a diagram where there are 4 boxes left empty and at the center of this box there is evidence of evolution written, right? So, we will be filling the 4 evidences of evolution here. So, let's look at the solutions, right? So, we know that there are 4 evidences of evolution. First is morphological evidences, then paleontological evidences, then anatomical evidences which is similarities in bone structure and embryological evidences. So, a little bit about paleontological evidences. You can know that there are fossils found at different parts of the world from which scientists or paleontologists have found that there were certain organisms which inhabited our earth many years ago and they were extinct, and there were evolutions from which, like, the organisms which were previously found were now adapted into a different form of organism. Morphological evidences, so we have homologous, analogous and vestigial organs present. Then there are similarities in anatomical evidences, right? So we have similarities in bone structures in different organisms, embryological structures, so certain common point through which all vertebrates go through, that is a pharyngeal pouch formation that takes place during embryological development. So that shows the relatedness between different organisms from the same species or class, and how evolution has made them different from one another as per their habitat, right? So this is how we are going to fill evidences of evolution. So if in case instead of this diagram you were asked about mentioning the evidences of evolution and write a bit about it, so you can mention these points in your answers. Now next question is from 2023, carrying 3 marks. Write a note on Darwin's theory of natural selection, right? So let's see the solution to it. Darwin published the theory of natural selection, which preaches the survival of fittest in his book Origin of Species, which lays down the foundation of how evolution took place and what was actually the factors which caused their extinction or survival. So all the organisms reproduce prolifically and compete with each other in a life-threatening manner. So this has been always the case, even if now we do not see that among the humankind, but there is always this kind of competition for resources, for space, etc. in everyday life, even in the wild, and only the fittest survive, right? In this competition, only organisms showing the modifications essential for winning the competition sustain. So during the process of evolution, there has been many changes in the atmosphere, in the surroundings, in our environment, and only those species which has been able to sustain, which has been able to adapt to that situation, survived, and rest of them perished, right? Natural selection also plays important role because nature selects only those organisms which are fit to live and rest perish, right? So this natural selection, so this different types of circumstances which nature throws at us is actually to test that which organisms have been able to survive those changes and they are fit to take life ahead, and rest of them perished. And we have been able to get the evidences of such evolution in paleontological evidences, wherein certain organisms they have perished and we have found remains or fossils of such organisms now that we can study them and know about them, right? Sustaining and selected organisms perform reproduction and thereby give rise to new species with their own specific characteristic. Life goes on and the survived species will reproduce and will give rise to more organisms of their similar characteristics. Now, what are the objections which were raised against this theory? Natural selection is not the only factor responsible for evolution. There are many other factors because of which the evolution has taken place. There are random mutation that took place in the gen, and therefore there was genetic modification. At times there was transformation. There was because of the environmental factor, certain characteristics were picked up, environmental changes contributed to the evolution, and there has been cross between two different species which gave rise to a newer species as well. So therefore natural selection is not the only factor responsible for evolution. So therefore this does not answer all the questions about evolution. Therefore this was an objection raised against this theory. No explanation about useful and useless modifications. So there has been modifications in body which has not been proven to show any uses in survival or in any other process. So there has been useless modifications too, but there was no explanation given for what is the reason for such modifications then. No explanation about slow changes and abrupt changes. So certain times some organism shows abrupt changes, and sometimes it took years and years for the evolution to occur. So there was no explanation given why certain changes were so abrupt, which were like the genetic cross between two species, the transformations, right? So those changes were not explained in his theory. So these were the objections raised against the theory. So I hope you understood the different types of questions that can be asked from this chapter, and you will be better prepared now. Thank you.